2022 has wound down, which means it's that time of the year where we look back at the last 12 months and the highlights they brought with them. For a number of reasons, this year was relatively lighter on notable games than some previous years in recent memory have been. But so healthy is the state of the games industry that even in spite of all that, there was still a steady stream of excellent games for players to dive into throughout all of 2022. From indies to AAA megatons, from sequels to new IPs, from platformers and RPGs to action-adventure games and shooters, there really was more than a little something for everyone. Here, we're going to take a look back and pick out our favorite games of the year, counting down from number 25 all the way down to our Game of the Year of 2022. Note, all entries and rankings were decided by an internal vote held among the entire Gaming Bolt staff. Number 25, Redout 2. In 2016, Redout emerged as a fan favorite for those who have been begging for new Wipeout and F-Zero games, and this year, its sequel upped the ante even further. Redout 2 is almost a dream come true for fans of the genre, showing off high-speed, adrenaline-fueled, futuristic racing at its very best through a combination of tight and responsive mechanics and stunning graphics and visual effects. This is a genre that still has the potential to flourish, and Redout 2 is a brilliant example of that. Number 24, Tunic. Just like Death's Door was last year, for fans of the older Zelda games, Tunic is one of this year's brightest spots, representing indie craft work at its best in more ways than one. It's a charming, vibrant game with a striking visual aesthetic that never ceases to amaze with its compelling combination of dungeon crawling, exploration, combat, and puzzles. And given the unique way in which it reveals more about its world to its players as you get deeper into it, Tunic is also a game that becomes increasingly more rewarding the more time you invest into it. Number 23, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands doesn't shake up the Borderlands formula as much as the elevator pitch of the game might indicate, but it's still a solid looter shooter in its own right. It retains the series' addictive core gameplay loop, driving you on to play more and more with its rewarding loot and combat mechanics, while it also throws in some unique elements of its own, thanks to its fantasy-based Dungeons & Dragons-inspired setting. Meanwhile, if you like Borderlands humor, there's plenty of that here as well. Number 22, Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers had a massive responsibility on its shoulders. Not only was it to bring the stumbling franchise back into form, but to also lay down the foundations for the series' next decade, if not more. Now, it wouldn't be Sonic if it didn't have at least a few frustratingly baffling issues, and Frontiers does have plenty of those, but it's still the best a mainline 3D Sonic game has been in a long time. The open world formula fits Sonic like a glove, and though there's still many improvements it can make, even as it exists right now, it's quite compelling. Number 21, Need for Speed Unbound. 2019's Need for Speed Heat was something of a reprieve in the series' uncontrolled downward slide, but this year's Unbound feels so much more significant. And that's not just because it also represents the return of Criterion as a major AAA studio, though that's obviously a big deal as well. Even on its own terms, Need for Speed Unbound is an excellent racer. The sense of speed and the arcadey racing action the series has been known for when it's at its best are present and accounted for here, while Unbound also brings plenty of its own unique flourishes to the table. From an open world that's always a blast to drive through to a vibrant visual and aesthetic style that gives the game a very distinct look. Number 20, The Quarry. Supermassive Games has established itself as an expert when it comes to interactive choice-based horror adventure titles, but the studio has arguably never touched the heights that it scaled with Until Dawn, back in 2014. The Quarry tried to recapture the magic in 2022, and while it may not be quite on the same level, it's still a hell of a lot of fun. It looks amazing, it's full of pulpy and corny horror, it constantly throws engaging choices and their disastrous consequences at you, and it's especially a blast to play as a multiplayer experience. Number 19, Weird West. Developed by former Arcane veteran Rafael Colantonio and his small indie team at Wolfeye Studios, Weird West is pretty much an unmissable game for fans of immersive sims. The dark fantasy and Wild West mashup here is captivating in and of itself, but of course, Weird West really shines in the gameplay department above all else, thanks to its complex and
Nag-affiliate
elaborate
na.
web of gameplay systems that emphasize player choice and agency like very few other games do. Whether you're studiously following the story or just messing about in the game's world and creating your own fun, Weird West delivers on every front. Number 18. OlliOlli World. OlliOlli World was something of a risk for Roll7, with the studio taking the series' established and acclaimed framework and expanding it in significant ways. But it was one that definitely paid off. Skateboarding platformers aren't exactly a very popular subcategory of games, but OlliOlli World proves all over again that when done right, this is the kind of experience that can sink its claws right into you. Slick movement, endearing characters, gorgeous art design, solid level design. There is no shortage of things to praise in OlliOlli World. Number 17. Sifu. Even though expectations were high from Sifu in the lead up to its launch, it still managed to turn out better than most people expected. Sloclap's Kung Fu Brawler may even be among the very best the genre has to offer. Its crunching and incredible slick kung fu combat never loses its luster throughout the experience, and the game's tough, but fair, and amazingly satisfying approach to difficulty makes the combat even better. Sifu is brimming with style and mechanical perfection, and is definitely going to live long in our memory. Number 16. Rogue Legacy 2. For many, the original Rogue Legacy is the king of roguelikes, so to say that Rogue Legacy 2 had quite a bit to live up to would be a big understatement. That it manages to live up to those expectations is a major accomplishment in and of itself. That it often actually exceeds them is almost beyond belief. Rogue Legacy 2 is an immaculately designed game, and concocts a stellar blend of challenging combat, excellent boss fights, pixel-perfect platforming, addictive progression mechanics, and a startling amount of build variety. And really, that's just scratching the surface. Number 15. Stray. In Stray, you play as a cat in a post-apocalyptic world populated by human-like androids and face-sucking parasites. If that central premise isn't enough to turn your head, it might be because your head isn't capable of turning. But Stray doesn't rely exclusively on its fascinating premise. It's also a very enjoyable game. Moving around and scaling environments as a live feline creature is always fun on at least a fundamental level, and the game combines that with smartly designed puzzles that consistently keep things interesting. There's a lot of flash here, yes, but there's also plenty of substance. Number 14. Shovel Knight Dig. There's something very elegant about Shovel Knight Dig's premise. Just take that iconic shovel and make it do what shovels do. Rather than using it as a pogo stick, Shovel Knight Dig sees you going ever downward, and it makes incredible use of that setup. Honestly, no amount of praise is enough for the way it takes the bones of the original Shovel Knight and manages to twist and turn them so they fit into a roguelike experience while still remaining true to their core. It's perhaps on the shorter side, especially for a roguelike experience, but Shovel Knight Dig makes a strong impression even in its relatively brief runtime. Number 13. Return to Monkey Island. Monkey Island is the poster boy of cult classic gaming franchises, but often you can't help but wonder if that's simply a case of absence making the heart grow fonder. Return to Monkey Island came along this year, much to the surprise of pretty much everyone, and thoroughly refuted that notion. With series veterans Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman returning to the helm, Return to Monkey Island feels like meeting a dear old friend who's somehow even more riotously fun than your memories would have you believe. From the sharp writing and endearing characteristics to the incredible humor and smart puzzles, it delivers in every way that you'd expect a Monkey Island game to deliver, while also ensuring that it modernized the series in meaningful ways. The wait for Return to Monkey Island may have felt like an interminable one at times, but impossibly enough, the reward at the end was well worth it. Number 12. Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 is a perfect example of how sequels with the evolution over revolution mindset can still deliver an amazing experience. The series' core gameplay formula is very much a known quantity at this point, and rather than trying to fix something that isn't broke, Splatoon 3 takes the formula and hones in it to near perfection. Yes, Nintendo's persistent incompetence when it comes to having good online has been a bit of a hurdle for the game, but at the end of the day, it's still an absolute blast to play. It's also worth mentioning that Splatoon 3 has a genuinely good single-player campaign, so even if you're not looking for a multiplayer experience, this is a game that's still worth your attention. Number 11, Overwatch 2. There was absolutely no way that Overwatch 2 was going to capture lightning in a bottle the way its predecessor did when it first launched. But the long-awaited sequel does serve as an excellent reminder of what made Blizzard's hero shooter formula resonate so strongly with so many people in the first place. Grindy progression mechanics and a questionable battle pass structure are some of the game's several issues at launch, but when you actually get down